Hi, I'm Coach D. Shen, and today I'd like to talk to you about a little bit about the catch. There have been some questions that have come up with some of our clients, and also I see in the forums. And I thought I'd do a little talk on how we see the catch and how it forms, and maybe reasons and why we do or do not want to do things. So, very simply, the catch is just stroking the lead arm back. Right, so I catch the water in the front, and then I push water all the way back. So as I go in, pushes back this way. Now I've switched to the other side, right, and I can repeat that, every time. So let's take a look at that a little bit. So oftentimes some of the things we've seen in swimmers is that we see a dropped elbow. So when they pull back, they tend to do this, right? They're pulling the water back this way, okay? So this is a very common thing we see. It's very terrestrial, if you will, in terms of movement. If you think about it, why do I want to pull something back? Well, I grab it like this and I pull the rope back, right? So what happens when that happens? If we're stroking back with a dropped elbow, the elbow's coming back first, I only get the benefit of the hand here to catch water, okay? I don't get to use any of my forearm here at all, okay? So I only get this little part. I also see how my elbow is moving back, so given that this is a natural movement on land, we want to run like this, that kind of thing, it tends to also manifest itself in a catch that takes my elbow behind myself. And if I do that, then trying to get the arm around is very tough. I will impinge, or I'll lock up here, and I end up bringing the hand forward and having to shoot the arm forward with my shoulder versus being able to use any kind of techniques. If you watch my video on new recovery, it's very hard to swing the arm around and generate centrifugal force if the arm is already locked out, because the elbow is behind my back like this, okay? So to escape that, if I'm stroking back with a higher elbow, I don't let the elbow drop, okay? Then I can exit the water nicely, whether it's a bent elbow recovery or the swinging arm new recovery that we've been practicing. Either way, doesn't matter. It works a lot better that way. A lot of times what you see in traditional coaches, they'll tell you as soon as you spear, catch, get that over there, right? And so what happens if you do that is that the pressure on your shoulder grows quite a bit. So if I go, basically what happens is if I catch before my body is turned, right, I'm still going this way, okay? If I try to get that on top of that water before I've turned, look at where my shoulder is, right? I've had to turn it around like this. And if I'm trying to catch and pull that arm back against the resistance of the water, that puts a lot of strain on my shoulder, okay? And if you do this over time, rep after rep, stroke after stroke, that's the cause of potential damage. It increases the risk of damage to your shoulder, and that's why we see a lot of swimmers have a lot of problems, is they keep attempting to get that catch as hard as possible before this arm comes around, and they're yanking back, right? Boom, boom, right? And that tends to potentially wreck some of the things that we like to talk about, which is patient lead arm, because in order for this to happen, this arm hasn't gone in yet, the recovering arm. I've already caught, and I'm stroking and yanking back at the water even as this arm hasn't come in, right? I've already come back, boom. And then I've caught again before this guy's even come, right? So you can see how my arms are 180 degrees to each other, right? Boom, as soon as I get in, I catch, right? Puts tremendous pressure on my shoulder, this way. So if you want longevity in your swimming, I would highly recommend not swimming that way. And it's one of the reasons why we love patient lead arm so much, is now if we have patient lead arm, I mean, let's say this arm's out here, we don't need the catch, right? Here we are reducing drag and increasing our balance, improving our balance by leaving that arm out there. And then only when this arm starts dropping in the water, the recovering arm, I'm starting to turn, okay? As that happens, then I catch, then I stroke back as my body turns into spearing the other side. If we are not patient, then inevitably we will catch too soon, okay? Put pressure on his shoulders, not necessarily desirable, right? And potentially we'll even beat the patient lead arm. Our arm starts coming back, and then we get a moment of high drag right here as this arm is not even in the water, okay? We put the brakes on, boom, right there, okay? Then we zip forward again. We have a pulse of good propulsion, but then we're catching again, boom, right? So that's why we like to say patient lead arm, keep the balance, keep the weight tipping forward, increase or decrease the drag because we have something parting water in front of us still. We are remaining long, and then catch only as we turn, okay? So if we turn, if you examine this, if from the front here, if we catch, when we turn, actually our shoulders are in a better position to do that, right? So if you think about it, a lot of people, even though they try to catch in front using the traditional method that coaches might say, they tend to do it like this, right? They start folding across the body down like this. And if you do that, if you think about it, it's a lot easier to do it this way. Your arm actually feels a lot better because the shoulder isn't being cranked on top of it, even though so many people try to swim that way. They can kind of fold it down the body like this and achieve that. But of course, if they do that, they tend to not do it with the patient lead arm. So, but if you think about it also, if they're doing that, they're literally mimicking the cop position with fingers down, of a rotated person, right? Or I've done the other one, and trying to maintain some part of that, as the body turns, boom, right? I'm still stroking down, but I recognize that my body's turned, and I can get that stroke finish there. So if you think about it, right, in order to get that, people are already doing this. Boom, they go, right? So that's the same position as, oh, I've speed forward already. Now I can push forward, saving my shoulder, okay? But instead of kind of worrying about this and losing, and again, if we're not in patient lead arm, we've increased drag quite a bit. Instead of, let's say I do this contortion to save my shoulder, all right, let's instead lessen drag with patient lead arm, and as my body turns, boom, I'm in the same position as if I had caught, right, saving my shoulder, boom, and I've already turned, okay? So the secret to all this is really making that catch as the body has turned already, and if I do that, that shaves my shoulder, allows me to engage my lats here to really push down on the water instead of some other muscles that may be cranking here, smaller muscles that I'm using that I would normally use for stabilization, but they're actually now trying to yank my arm back and the stroke back. So this brings us to a little bit of talk on how we've seen early vertical forearm actually be done a little bit more safer, which if you've seen my video or Dave Cameron's video, we like to say form the early vertical forearm on the switch. Okay, so as this spear comes forward, instead of just stroking back like this, okay, I keep the elbow in front just a little bit while longer, boom, here's my early vertical forearm, okay, then I go. Okay, so it's just a little bit more delay, boom, whoosh, then I go down, okay. So that also saves the shoulder, okay, maybe requires a little bit more ability to be able to execute that, but at least I'm not trying to do it this way, right? Look at my body, it's like trying to angle itself, right? I'm still missing even some mobility even to get this right in order to get the vertical forearm and then pull it back as my arm's shooting forward. Okay, so it's another reason why, you know, that catch really needs to be formed as the body's turning, or it's in its turn state. Then I can save my shoulder and get the stroke finished up. So some of the cues we like to use to help fix or improve the catch and the stroke back are one that was from our founder Terry Laughlin. He liked to envision that there was a hood of a Volkswagen Beetle. So drape the arm over the Beetle as I'm spearing forward, right? Create this big kind of imagination of that I'm draping over the hood of that car, and then I come back out, boom, okay? Other ones tend to be more about, this is a more traditional one, keep the elbow high as you stroke back. So as I do that, right, think about maybe even skimming the top of the water, you know, with my elbow as I come back. Okay, that also helps a lot. Instead of letting the elbow drop, I have to keep it high, right? And the arm usually has the bend, right? So a lot of people tend to do this straight arm thing, but if they keep it either with this, or the other way is thinking about fingers dragging across a flat surface, right? That can also achieve that nice stroke back result. Okay, so don't drop the elbow, don't yank it back. Try to keep on top of it, right? Pull. Think about the hand. Get the forearm into it. Moving straight back. You'll lose the vertical forearm once you get, you know, past this point right here, right? It can be vertical here. And then after that, it's going to be a little bit more hand as the arm straightens out. So think about draping it up, right? Keep the patient lead arm. When you're spearing, think about the car, right? I'm draping over it and then coming over. You can think about high, bring that elbow high. So as I keep the patient lead arm, okay, it's still high. As I come back, okay, and stroke down, okay. So keep the fingers at the same level, right? Keep thinking about the fingers at the same level, pointing downward. Okay, it's like on the floor, on a table. I'm never going below that. Stroke down, and then I come back and recover. One last small detail that you may see when you check out, say, videos of Dave Cameron or Shinji or anybody else swimming. You'll see that while we teach people to hold the patient lead arm, and that's fine, they start feeling for the water before the spear happens. Okay, because sometimes the tempo is starting to move quickly, and they want to start, you know, gaining that kind of, okay, there it is, but I'm not committed to it just yet. And then I engage the full, okay, stroke back. So you may see their hands drop a little bit, but just bear in mind, it's not a full catch yet, not until, right, the entry happens, their body's turning, then they start stroking back. And last note, a lot of people keep thinking about, oh, I gotta have early vertical forearm, I must do this, it's gonna be faster. Well, you know, the truth of the matter is, you really don't need it. You know, work on just getting that Volkswagen hood draping, the high elbow, okay? You can swim plenty fast just by doing that, okay? Versus, you know, this or any other way that can happen, or maybe straight armed, you know, that would be another thing that we're trying to control or get rid of and do better. But yeah, worrying less about, man, I gotta, right, do it this way, like Dave said, or Dave Cameron, or Dave Shen said. You can get there later. That's really an optimization thing. When you've gotten further down the line, trying to eke out that last second, I wouldn't worry about that for regular swimming. You can go plenty fast just by getting a decent stroke back without the drop elbow, right? Pushing water straight back to your feet, okay, not in all sorts of weird directions, or swiping water or up or out of the water of the pool. Just focus on that, and later on, if you're still interested, you can go and see if you can tackle the early vertical forearm that we like to teach. Thanks.